I got that on my system. I just wanted to play something fun because right now we got a very tough lesson ahead of us. It's the B chord. Maybe the hardest chord and one of the most important chords to play on the guitar. I'm going to tell you why it is so hard to play this chord, but why you must master it. B is so important to master because in the key of E, which is maybe the best guitar key to play in standard tuning, you're going to have A lot, and you're also for sure going to be having B a lot, because that's the fifth. So you can't escape it. And unfortunately, it's in the key that you're going to be playing a lot of in guitar, and the best key, because E is your lowest note, and it just comes across great. Now, why is this chord so hard to play? You got to push harder. You've also got 5 strings to fret simultaneously, and you got a big stretch on your hand. You got to stretch like this. So you got a 3-fret stretch. Not easy to do. Now for the first method, we've got those 3 strings. We've got our first finger, first string, 2nd fret, 4th finger, 2nd string, 4th fret, 3rd finger, 3rd string, 4th fret. Very recommended for beginners and for people who are very frustrated, want to turn their guitar into firewood. I would recommend this. Don't ruin your guitar. Now, the problem with it, and as you'll get more advanced, you'll want to play other ways, the other methods that I'm going to recommend. But if you're going from a full E string to a small little tiny 3 thin string, it's fine for beginners or people who are very frustrated. The second method is similar to the first, but it's a 4-string chord. The only difference being that our 2nd finger is going to play the 4th string, 4th fret. It's a 4-string chord, number 1 through 4. Another good thing about it, other than being really quick to hit, is you're going from A, which happens a lot, from A to B and from B to A. We just slide that A shape, slide it up. All we're going to do is add our first finger, and then we go to an E. Very good chord, great for beginners. There's a lot of situations you can use it for, but it's still, the negative is a little thin. And your root is not, this is the root, the B. The tonic or the root note should be first. It's a workable solution until you can get to one of our next shapes. Method number 3 is very similar to method 2. Make sure that every knuckle is bent. Here's our A. We're going to slide it up and slide up again. That's 2 half steps, makes a whole step. And instead of having our first finger down here as in method 2, we're going to have it right here and play strings 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now this is great because you got the root right where it should be, the first note. And it's a wonderful chord, a wonderful way to play fingerstyle. Alternate bass or Travis picking. So we can play it that way too. So it's a very useful chord for certain situations. Again, you've got that slide up, which is awesome, going from A to B or from B to A. I like to pluck this chord like this, and it's a great way to play. It leaves a few things to be desired though. If you're trying to strum, you're still going to have this in the background. That first string is very hard, but picking, it's hard to beat that chord. That's method number 3, and I would say in certain situations it's a very usable chord. The fourth method is a popular method that a lot of instructors show, where you're going to have bar these 5 strings on your 2nd fret. Then you're going to also reach over and make an A shape with fingers 2 through 4 on your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string. I find this excessively hard to do because you've got a big stretch and then you've got your hand all bowed up coming over here. Now it might be okay if you're going from an A. I just can't get all 5 strings to ring out clearly with this method. I'm not going to talk about it much because I think it's you got to have a certain combination of long fingers, thin fingers, and maybe a wide neck. I know I'm going to get some comments about this, but I don't like this method. And now we're to method number 5, and we're going to have a bar, a 5-string bar with our first finger across strings 1 through 5. But really the only 2 that matter are the 5th string and the 1st string. So don't worry if you get, because we're just going to be covered with our 2nd finger over here. It's an A shape like this. On our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string, it's going to sound like this. Why is this so hard? It's really hard because I've got to make right here on my 3rd finger has got to skip over on top of the 1st string. And that's hard to do. The only way to do it is to get your finger and really smash it opposite this way, like this. So if some people can't do that, and if you can't do that, then you're going to have to play it like this. You know, one of these other methods, like such as this. But this is the best way to play it. Now, how, Space Age Jim, how am I going to learn that chord? That just, you know, every finger has to be perfect. Well, the only way to learn it is to just play it over and over and over, practice. Now, this is important. You can move it up here and notice how much wider your neck is. The farther you go up, the wider the string spacing is, the wider the fretboard. So you got a lot more room to work with. So start up here on like an E note. It's a root 5, 5-string chord. Your E. Play it up here. It's so much easier. And then as you get to where you can play that, you go down a little bit smaller to your D. Then you go down to your your C. Notice how they sound a little different? That's called revoicing. For instance, you got a G there and you got a G here. See how they sound so much different? And that's very useful. We'll be getting that at another point. But work your way down until you finally get to that B. It takes a lot of pressure. I've got my thumb behind my guitar. It's like a vice. I'm pushing as hard as I can. Luckily, I have fairly strong hands and I'm able to really push hard. If you don't, you're going to have to use one of these other methods. But you really need to master this and to make it to the intermediate level, you're going to have to play bar chords. And this is where it all starts, with the B chord. The good news is after that, these like B minor, all the other chords after B are very simple. So if you master this chord, you've learned the hardest chord on the guitar, and you're never going to run into anything harder than this. So work on it, spend a lot of time with it, and You know, that gives us 5 different ways to play the B chord. Of course, there's other ways, up the neck and all, and we're not going to cover those today. That's a bar form thing, and we're going to be working on that in the near future. And